I grew up playing the Famicom Japanese version of this game, which I always knew as SB Rescue, and years later I would struggle to find this game again because of that very name, until I saw a game called Shatterhand which looked near identical to it. Turns out that Shatterhand was the American version of the game, while SB Rescue, as the Famicom cartridge indicated, was actually called Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain. Growing up in South Africa, the American Nintendo Entertainment System wasn't available locally, but there was a large market of unlicensed Famicom hardware clones, thanks to China, which we colloquially refer to as TV games, and were practically available everywhere, so the majority of the games we got were the Japanese versions. And because they were knockoffs, a lot of the time the game cartridges would have all kinds of crazy artwork on them, or an artwork that didn't even correspond to the game itself. So firstly, let me touch on a little bit of the history of the Japanese version and the regional differences that the two versions have, as these differences actually make the games completely different despite being practically the same. Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain was based on an old Japanese superhero show called Super Rescue Solbrain, produced by Toei Company, which ran for 53 episodes from January 20th, 1991 to January 26th, 1992. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of Japanese live-action cinema, as I find the incessant overacting to be a pretty tough pill to swallow. However, that being said, Super Rescue Solbrain falls into that weird it's so bad it's good category, reminiscent of the original Power Rangers show. So I hunted down the series and found it to be incredibly entertaining purely because of the spectacular car wreck that it is, filled with unintentional humor, ridiculous storylines, and a charming low-budget cheapness. So while Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain was based on the show, the American version Shatterhand had a completely different premise and removed itself from Super Rescue Solbrain entirely. Being set in the year 2030, you play as Steve Herman, whose arms have been replaced with cybernetic ones after getting injured during a battle with a military renegade faction known as Metal Command. With these cyber arms you can plausibly punch through things that would have ordinarily required a special suit of some kind, such as this. Or, I don't know, the solid suit from the original game and show. The intro and ending are different, the characters and items were changed, and the carnival level, Area C, was replaced with a submarine type level filled with monsters and creepy floating babies that chase you. So because I played the Japanese version, that's the version I'm focusing on. And besides, the solid suit clad Soul Braver is cooler than Steve and his robot arms. So just like Shadow of the Ninja, which I covered back in episode 3, Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain was developed by Natsume, and both games have a similar and distinct looking graphics engine which I believe to be very impressive. And as great as Shadow of the Ninja looks, Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain is even more impressive, and one of the best looking games in the system in my opinion. The graphics are extremely detailed and use a vibrant color palette, in fact one of the best I've seen on the NES, as each level looks distinctive from the other. The enemies and surroundings are well drawn and equally detailed, and the variety of the enemy sprites, boss battles and levels is really quite staggering. For the most part, NES games simply did not look like this. The gameplay is really solid too. Soul Braver is quick and responsive, and the basic punch attack feels weighty and satisfying when hitting enemies or blocking gunfire, but where the combat really gets interesting is when you break open crates that contain items marked with the Greek letters for alpha or beta. Punching the items will cycle between the letters, and once you've collected 3 letters, you will summon a robotic satellite, which acts as a floating companion that can attack enemies with various weapons, depending on the letter combination you've collected. There is a total of 8 satellite combinations, with weapons ranging from lasers to flamethrowers, and the satellite can also be used to carry you up into the air by holding down and pressing the A button. If the satellite takes too much damage, it will disappear, so try your best to keep it out of harm's way because they are really useful, especially for the boss battles. In terms of level structure, if you're familiar with the Mega Man X games, you'll feel right at home here. You start off in a factory stage, Area A, which serves as the introductory level of the game. Once cleared, the game opens up to 5 levels, Areas B to F, which can be played through in the order of your choosing, and once all 5 are cleared, you're presented with the final stage, Area G. The game can be frustratingly difficult at times, and this frustration is amplified by the fact that you will have to face all of each level's bosses once more in Area G. It was quite a popular trend to rinse and repeat boss battles in the 8-bit era, which I've always seen as a superficial attempt to extend the longevity of a game, a trend I've never been partial to. Furthermore, due to the weight of your character or perhaps the game's gravity, jumping from platform to platform can be tricky at the best of times, and I found myself falling into spikes, flames, saws and so forth more often than I would care to admit. However, these little niggles are easily overlooked and never deterred me from playing Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain, as it's a fantastically challenging game. Tokkyū Shirei Solbrain is probably in my top 10 favorite games on the NES. I was never able to complete it as a kid, and at the time of releasing this video I still haven't completed it, but given that I picked it up again after not playing it for many years, it's been a nostalgic experience that I've chosen to take my time with. Whether it's Solbrain or Shatterhand, if you're looking for a challenging NES title that looks, sounds and plays great, then you can't go wrong with this one.